Jungkook fixed the collar of his shirt and proceeded to button up his cuffs. He then applied some cologne and looked at himself in the mirror to check one last time. Nothing much, just a man getting ready, except for a collar hanging by his back. His wife. She had her face dug in the crook of his neck, legs and arms wrapped around him tightly, and she placed a few kisses on his neck, leaving her lipstick stains there. When she wasn't satisfied with the love marks only on her husband's neck, so she left another on the collar of his brand new white shirt. Wine, that one is better. She admired the lipstick stain, which screamed he was taken. He needed to be marked. Hoarding such unrealistic beauty, every girl would drool over every time he passed by them. As soon as Jungkook was done fixing himself up, he pulled Wine in a way she ended up in his arms, and he held her up bridal style. Jungkook, what should I do about marking you? He placed her on the table and stood in between her legs, placing his hands on either side of her. Wine held his collar and reflected a playful smile. However you like it, sweetheart, she said, and Jungkook landed his lips on her neck. His kisses were aggressive before they turned into bites and sucks. He didn't let her breathe as he filled her skin with dark hickeys, and when he pulled back, there was a smirk on his face while looking at the art he created. Jungkook, beautiful. He groaned, and the two left for shopping. Wine sat on his lap throughout the whole car ride in the back seat, whereas the shutter between the driver and the back seat was closed to keep the privacy. Jungkook tried his best to control himself and not ruin her makeup, because once he started, then forget about makeup, he was going to ruin her whole. However, once they reached the mall and Vine looked at herself in the mirror, she gasped at what her skin became within 20 minutes. The amount of hickeys were insane. Vine, don't you love doing that way too much? Jungkook, I love watching you filled in those. Vine pecked his lips and the two entered the mall. Jungkook followed her everywhere she wanted to go and recommended her along other things as well. Vine, I don't know if it's going to even fit me or not. She held the dress in front of her, inspecting it. She was always so hesitant about using the trying rooms after so many news about the hidden cameras in them. She had one fixed size, but sometimes some clothes are weird. They are either smaller or bigger than the mentioned size on them. Jungkook, just keep it. Fine. No, it doesn't look my size. Jungkook took the dress from her hand and extended it behind him towards the staff lady who was carrying all the dresses they bought. Jungkook, then we get it to fix your size. She once looked behind and realized how much she shopped. She decided to hold back a little. It was a mall after all. Every single thing was beautiful. You'd want to grab them all and take them back home. She walked ahead, checking the dresses, and would skip to next one. Without realizing, every dress she touched or looked at was going to the lady who was collecting them. Jungkook knew just by looking at her expressions whether she liked them or not. Every time she disliked a design, her face would turn into one weird expression, which Jungkook found somehow really funny. What even hilarious to him was how she would try to control her expressions to respect everyone's choice of liking. The two entered the jewelry shop next. Vian simply wanted one bracelet, but to her utter shock, when the shopping was done and they were getting in the car, she saw the guards loading a huge sum of shopping bags in the car. A huge amount of dresses, bags, and cosmetics. And what was wrong with the number of jewelry bags? She looked at her husband with shocked, debatable eyes, wondering if he still had the money to feed them for dinner. Jungkook, I am a very great chef, he said as if he knew what was going on in her brain. She chuckled as Jungkook held open the car door of his Mercedes for her. The bags were a lot. It took quite some minutes to load them in the car. A few, in fact, went in the cars of the security SUV trailing behind them. Wine, where will I even wear all those things? I don't go to much places. Jungkook, then I'll take you to a lot of places so you can try them. Other days, I might come home with the hopes to see my wife all ready for me. That was very typical of him, but somehow she loved the idea. Jungkook had this typical husband kind of element in him, but the way he would portray it, it would make you feel loved and churn butterflies in your stomach. Wine. Let's stop there. She suddenly yelled, with excited eyes pointing at a distance. It was a very beautiful empty spot, a bridge with the river flowing underneath. No one was around, and the dim lights from the distance provided such aesthetic and peace to it. Jungkook stopped the car without a question and got down after his excited wife. She skipped towards the edge, happily looking down at the river, and Jungkook removed his coat and placed it around her shoulders to keep her warm. Wine. It's so beautiful. He wrapped his arm around her waist, standing beside her. Wine. Let's dance. When Jungkook took out his phone to play music, she took it instead and placed it somewhere on his car to record them. The lights on the bridge in the background, with their bodies dancing in front of them, created such an aesthetic video. She chuckled when Jungkook suddenly shifted from their slow, romantic dance to the sped up version, since no music played and they had the independence to choose. Just when she lost her balance, he picked her up in his arms and spun around. Vine laughed happily, head thrown back, and Jungkook's heart swelled up at the sight. Vine, he called, his voice deep and husky. One eye contact, and she wanted to jump down the bridge. A million galaxies could join together, but nothing compared to those of shining in his eyes. Jungkook, I love you.